cultural discourse at national scale. Out of this movement emerged the idea of the new Negro, confident, visible, cultivated, and modern. And more importantly, it didn't just include Black people or traditional Black norms. Langston Hughes described the Harlem nightlife in his autobiography, The Big C. And he says, "What a crowd, all classes and colors met face to face, ultra aristocrats, bourgeoisie, communists, Park Avenue galore, bookers, publishers, Broadway celebs, and Harlemites giving each other the once over." This moment was never simple. The Harlem Renaissance did not exist in a vacuum. Much of the work produced during this period was not primarily consumed by the communities it came from. Exploitation remained a harsh reality, even for educated Black artists. Access was shaped by class, colorism, and respectability. Queer artists existed, sometimes openly and sometimes quietly, and not all Black people in Harlem experienced this Renaissance in the same way. Years later, in his memoir, The Big C, in the chapter When the Negro was in Vogue, Langston Hughes offered a sobering assessment. The ordinary Negroes hadn't heard of the Negro Renaissance, and if they had, it hadn't raised their wages any. That observation captures the central contradiction of the Harlem Renaissance. The art was beautiful, provocative, healing. It shifted culture and visibility, but the cultural recognition alone did not dismantle economic inequality or political exclusion like many had hoped. At its core, the Harlem Renaissance asks a powerful question. Could culture change how Black people were treated in America? For a time, many believed the answer was yes, but in practice, the reality was more sobering. For a few, it was opportunity. For many, it was performance. The Harlem Renaissance was not a fairy tale. It was not a pure victory, and it was not a single story. It was messy, ambitious, contradictory, and ultimately unfinished. Today, we reframe the Harlem Renaissance as more than an artistic movement. It was a cultural, political, and economic response to segregation, migration, and exclusion. Art created visibility, but visibility did not guarantee freedom. Over the next lectures, we'll unpack this movement fully, the timelines, the money, the ideologies, the identities, and the aftermath. Until then, sit with and leave your answer to our reflection question in the comments. We know now that cultural recognition doesn't automatically produce material change. However, what do you think people hope the Harlem Renaissance would actually accomplish during its infancy? Tomorrow, we'll begin situating the Harlem Renaissance in time and ask, how did this movement evolve? And why do so many people misunderstand when it actually happened? I'll see you tomorrow.